very good morning right here. Thank you so much for always keeping it TV47. Such a beautiful morning, and I'm here to ensure that your day kickstarts on a very good note. My name is Linda Alela, and it is time for Morning Cafe. And you know very well that on Morning Cafe, we take a look at what is happening on the world of news. We take a look at the newspapers, the key stories that have been captured in the newspapers. We also expound more on discussions that are of importance to you and importance to me. Of course, we'll be having that session on the current affairs. But most importantly, you know, Wednesdays are all about COVID-19, a pandemic that we are dealing with as a global fraternity, trying to figure out how best we can be able to tame it. So Wednesdays, we dedicate them to addressing issues to do with COVID-19, how they have affected the economy, how, of course, COVID-19 has come in handy to us, you know, unraveling what we need to change as a society, and so much so. We take a look at the health sector, and we'll be having great conversations right here. We'll also later on have, of course, the Acting Secretary General of KMPDU, Mwachonda, will be joining us later to discuss more on how well prepared they are as frontline workers in dealing with COVID-19. Most importantly, of course, on the newspaper review segment, we'll be having Philip Mwangale, who's a lawyer and also a leadership and governance consultant. We expound more on what is captured on the main stories of the newspapers. As always, we have the Daily Nation, the Standard newspaper, the People's Daily, the Star. We take a look at all this. Most of the stories actually captured are, you know, running across all the newspapers. So we'll be taking a look at this and much more. We also take a look at what my team has prepared in terms of news. So we have indeed a full house of activities right here for you. We start right now all the way to 9 p.m. So make sure that you keep it right here. It will be as interesting as ever, even as we cross over to the lifestyle segment later on as we get to wind up. So yes, here we are, and Philip joins me this morning. Philip, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you too for having me.
All right, so we'll start off with the newspaper, and I think the key one we would capture is the People's Daily, which is right here with me, as you can see. Well, I don't know how we operate. Are you able to see, or I'll just be taking you through what is there? Are you able to see? It's a big win.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. You can always look at the camera, and we will discuss more or less of the current affairs that are happening right now. Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest story, of course, is Waiguru's win in what the People's Daily would refer it as. And he says this is a win for her. Round one. Senators allied to Uhuru and Raila fight to ensure that embattled Kirinyaga governor's impeachment hearing goes to select committee amid resistance from group that supports Deputy President William Ruto. We saw this yesterday, and indeed it was indeed a full house of activities and lots of drama, lots of noise, and eventually, of course, those people who were supporting the 11-member committee stood at around 45, I think, there, and they all voted yes. And of course, those ones that are like to Deputy President William Ruto voted no. That, of course, did not carry the day. They were 14 of them. What do you make of this?
First, I'm surprised that the People has carried that headline, that was a big win for Waiguru, Governor
Round one.
Waiguru. But it could have some sense of truth, in the sense that Waiguru will have expected or would have desired to have the committee way, because the committee presents an opportunity for her to, elaborate the facts that she has on her side better than she would at plenary. And the committee, the committee is just about 11 people.
Yeah.
So with 11 people, you'd only have that wide range of ideas. With the plenary, you're sort of dealing with a jury.
Yeah.
And with the jury comes a lot of questions, comes a lot of diverse opinion on the matter. So I think it is a win for her in the sense that she will get an opportunity to be very elaborate with the evidence that she has to support her case. But, we understand the political reality that we are in. And, it could also be a win because some are saying that the committee has a predetermined position, especially because, 6 members are drawn from the Jubilee coalition, and those members do not, that membership does not have the membership of what we have known as Tanga Tanga, those allied to DP William Ruto, and those that did not support the committee way. 5 members will come from ODM and the NASA coalition. So, in a way, if those 11 committee members are whipped to a certain direction, then it is obviously a win for her.
Where does it place the people of Kirinyaga? I mean, the MCAs who represent the people, arguing that, of course, this was the voice of the people, proceed to impeach Waiguru. Then she comes to the level of Senate, which again is a constitutional, procedure, and she's probably saved at that level. What would it mean for the people of Kirinyaga in terms of getting, services, in terms of getting value for their money, accountability, and all this?
It's interesting because I remember, I think it was Senator Wambua who mentioned that both Governor Waiguru and the people of Kirinyaga County, and by the people, we understand that the MCAs carry the mandate of the people.
Yeah.
So the assumption or the presupposition is that the MCAs have a majority, they are carrying the majority say of Kirinyaga County people. So those two sides are both seeking justice. Governor Waiguru has her own side of the story.
Yeah.
She's also seeking justice. And I have maintained, even though some people claim that impeachment is supposed to be solely a political process,
right,
I think we should stick to the fact that the Constitution and the County Government Act provides that should be a legal process. So when we politicize that process at the County Assembly, then we are looking at an impeachment process that is mad, like we have seen across counties that have conducted impeachments. So the county people of Kirinyaga can still get justice,
right,
if it goes the committee way. But if it is politicized in the committee, then they will not get justice, because they would have impeached a governor who would be brought back to them. And if those issues that they have raised, they raised in the impeachment motion, continue, then we are likely to see a discordant county government, in the sense that the county assembly will be at loggerhead with the governor.
All right. As of yesterday, don't you suppose then that it was obvious that this is taking a political turn? Of course, before you answer that, let's just remind ourselves of the committee members that we are looking at: Abishiro Halake, Michael Mbito, Mwangi Gidiomi, Beth Mogo, and Warloy Tip-Tip, Philip Mpaye, Cleopas Malala, Beatrice Kwamboka, Stewart Madzayo, Judith Pareno, and Moses Kajuang. And this one has been captured on page 4 of the People's Daily. Of course, just taking a look at some of the views of the senators themselves. Susan Kihika saying that sadly impunity won today and the great people of Kirinyaga lost. With the Capitol Hill Sanitization Committee, justice will be marriage. And of course, James Orengo saying, I can tell you, and I have the evidence, the people who are looking for Waiguru's head are not the county assembly. Interesting times right there. So this is something that we'll delve in later on as we discuss. But then I'd love to hear your take. I mean, you're a legal expert. As it stands, as of yesterday, do you suppose then this will take the constitutional route, or this is obviously the political way?
This is political, too political, and the law does not countenance that kind of situation. You know, when you have mentioned statements that came from Senator Orengo, that came from Murkomen, if on one hand, the group that will be tasked with hearing, and they're supposed to be impartial, because you see, the Senate will be sitting as a quasi-judicial body. They're operating as a court. So if the impartial arbiter is saying that we know that those who are after Governor Waiguru, have an agenda. There is somebody who is after Anne Waiguru other than the county assembly.
Right.
And there's another part that is saying that, and that part will not be in the committee. That part is saying, we know that this will be a cleansing exercise. So if you have an impartial arbiter speaking in that manner, then we are likely not to see, the truth come out.
Right.
She will appear in the committee, tender her evidence, but then it's like the committee already has a predetermined position.
All right, we wait to see what will happen as of that. But now coming to a different story, let's first of all remind ourselves of the numbers on matters COVID-19 as captured right here on the People's Daily. 3,860 confirmed COVID-19 cases as at now, from the time that we reported our very first case. 1,328 have recovered so far. We have had 105 deaths, and of course 133 tested positive as of yesterday when we were getting that address from the Ministry of Health. 701 samples have been tested since the first case was reported in Kenya. That is 118,000. And Optimism as a life-saving corona drug is identified. That one has been captured on page 8. We'll be looking at that. But before that, a big win for hotels as opening hours have been extended. I mean, are we a little bit confused on how we should approach this, just as the entire global fraternity is? And indeed, is this a big win? Because remember, the hotels had been closed. Then, of course, there was that slow reopening of hotels and restaurants. Then, of course, reopening of, extension of the curfew hours. That, again, was not so helpful to the people of the hotels because the government came out to say that they should still close at around 4 p.m. Then, again, this extension up until 7:30.
First, I must say, in as much as the world has been dealing with this issue for the first time, this has been new. Everyone has been learning the ropes as they go. Yeah. We have not handled it with wisdom. We have not expended knowledge in handling this coronavirus right from the onset, before the virus landed within our territory. Right. And one of those things that we have failed to do is to test, because right now we should be talking about individual tests, upwards of 2 million, if we are really to contain this virus. But I think the government has been slow in testing, either because of capacity, and we do not understand why that capacity is limited. Yet we are told that we have an opportunity to increase that capacity. We need to deploy funding in the area of capacity. So that is one. Two, the government used to talk about contact tracing in the first instances. Right now, we are not talking about contact tracing. We're just talking about tests that are being done. And if you remember, the CS, I think it was a CAS, she once mentioned that the tests that they tell us they're doing, for example, if they tell us they have done 4,000 tests in a particular day, it does not mean that those that number represents 4,000 individuals. It just represents the tests, including tests of people who are being reconfirmed negative, those kinds of tests. So I think that has been a failure of government. And when we also address the lockdown issue, the lockdown was supposed to operate as a quarantine of sorts, so that you're locking down Nairobi and then you are working towards containing the virus in Nairobi. But it has not worked. We have seen politicians cross over, ordinary Kenyans violate that lockdown measure.
And the numbers still going up, sadly.
And it's chaos. It's total chaos. So we should look at, we castigated Tanzania for a long time because we thought Tanzania was not very serious with this virus. But if you look at it from an economic perspective, and Tanzania, after a while, perhaps will be vindicated because it's not something that they can hide. If people are dying, we will see it. If their economy is hurt, we will see it. Right. But I saw President Magufuli, announce in Parliament that now they're going full blown. They're opening up everything, schools and whatnot. Yeah. So we should also look at not just as a slow and gradual reopening, but we should look at what would happen if we do not really contain the numbers, because it has been proven that we are not really containing the numbers. Yeah. So we cannot continue in this manner.
All right, we'll be discussing COVID-19. Like I said, it's a special edition of COVID-19 every Wednesday. Call it COVID-19 360 or Corona 360. And of course, we take a look at all the issues, the economic impacts, and much, much more. Let's cross over to the corridors of justice. And this is something that I guess we've talked about since last week, and it remains here until this is addressed. So top lawyers ask Uhuru to resolve judiciary dispute. This dispute is there. Maraga is headed for leave days that he's probably going to hold up until that time he will exit office. And clearly, the end is not nigh. As a legal, of course, officer yourself, what do you make of all this tussle that is there? I mean, I have had a couple of you coming on board, and a majority of them have argued that the president is on the wrong side. Do you maintain that, or you have a different argument?
I maintain that the president is wrong. He's either getting wrong advice, and we could see, initially we thought perhaps he's ignoring advice from the AG. But we now know that the AG has been misadvising him, because on this he's totally wrong. You cannot fight the judiciary in this manner, and people should understand this. The president as a head of state has no equal. He's the only head of state, but the president as a head of government has inferior equals, let me use that term, in the speakers of the National Assembly and in the Chief Justice, because these are arms of the same government. It is that triune nature that must be maintained. So the committee between the executive and the judiciary must be very fluid. And what we are seeing portends something that is very dangerous for the rule of law. And that means that if the courts will pronounce themselves on a matter of law, then it is expected, as the Constitution tells us, that all persons should act with the authority or are subject to the Constitution, including the president. So if we have courts pronouncing themselves, giving court orders, and the executive is at the forefront of disobeying those court orders, then we are likely to see ordinary citizens violating court orders, and that will not be a good place for us to be. Yes.
All right, there you go. We will leave that one, because then again it's becoming tough and tough by the day. And of course, I'll certainly expect you to be on the side of the judiciary. I don't know how well
everyone
the
should.
Judiciary, everyone should be.
Everyone
I don't know
should.
how well the judiciary has, of course, done in terms of ensuring that they uphold the rule of law, because also there are lots of question marks in regards to how they have operated. And, so much so, especially in the aspect of corruption that has, derailed us as a country hugely. And they have been considered as the missing link on the fight against corruption. So we can only wait to see.
Well, on that, we are not saying that we do not have issues within the judiciary.
Right.
As it's happening across board, across different departments of government, across our society as a country, we have issues. We have individuals perhaps who might be tainted in a way. But we should not use those issues to sideline or attack the judiciary. We should instead provide a platform. And I can say the judiciary has tried. We have the Office of the Ombudsperson within the judiciary. We have the JSC that has been cracking the whip on errant judicial officers. So they are trying. We are not saying that this is a perfect arm of government. We're just saying that let that arm of government be given the respect it deserves, and let that government, let that arm of government also occupy the place that it's supposed to occupy.
All right, there's so much of thirst for God, I want to put it that way. And now Deputy President William Ruto yesterday hosted religious leaders at his current home, and now talks to them and says, try and expedite talks on churches reopening. That is his main urge. Do you suppose then that there's so much confusion in this aspect of reopening slowly of the economy, different sectors, the church itself, and now Deputy President William Ruto saying that it's important that we go out there and again seek spiritual healing?
On this issue of churches reopening, I am conflicted because as a Christian, I'm asking myself, what is the rush? Why do we really want to go back there? And from a Christian perspective, I will tell you this is my personal opinion, that we should really be asking ourselves how we can utilize this moment. And the question is, can churches and religious outfits operate outside those buildings? Are we saying that it is those buildings that advance our faith in different capacities? Are we saying that without us going back, then churches and religious organizations will collapse? If that is the reason, then we really need not to hurry back. But I agree that things should go back to normal. If a bar is open, then why not? Yes. Why should a church be closed? Yes.
Well, interesting. Cold season set to continue until August. Here we are, and we have it right here. So that is according to Murang'a Meteorological Officer, who says that temperatures are likely to dip in the next 2 weeks. That's more like it has been a cold morning. I am glad that at least you made it here. And another thing on matters politics, Wetangula Group now vows to discipline rebels over his ouster. Is he celebrating too early? Remember, this was just stopped by the courts. I mean, until they deliberate on the way forward?
I don't think he is.
Yeah.
My position has been that when it comes to the law, when it comes to the Ford Kenya Constitution and matters of procedure, Wetangula has been safe because that ouster, that coup, did not happen procedurally, did not follow to the letter the Ford Kenya Constitution. So in as much as that is the position, then he has a right to celebrate. But remember, the Registrar of Political Parties directed that they could decide to sort out their issues within the party. But then the other bit is this. If really Wetangula has fallen out with the membership of the party, and not just these few individuals, then, even the law cannot really save him. Because yes, you can retain the position, but if you've fallen out with the membership, then that is it for you. But if he has not, and he commands a certain following, especially within Bungoma County and Trans Nzoia, where Ford Kenya is, you can say it's really domiciled, then I think he has a reason to celebrate. On the other hand, this coup, with the exception of Eseli Simiyu, this coup was orchestrated from without Ford Kenya. So there are those who are really interested in the positions. Wamunyini is just holding the position as a caretaker for certain people. There are those who claim Eugene Wamalwa and Mukhisa Kitui are trying to make a comeback into the party. Of course, they sold their party for a song. So perhaps that will be a loss for them.
All right, as we discuss COVID-19, this is a story that has been captured on the People's Daily and also, of course, making rounds across the international scene. Dexamethasone, I'm not so good or conversant with, medical terms, but here we are. Dexamethasone proves fast life-saving drug. And indeed, it's called a cheap and widely available drug that can help save the lives of patients seriously ill with coronavirus. And the low-dose steroid treatment is a major breakthrough in the fight against the deadly virus. This is according to experts from the UK. We'll delve deep into understanding this, and of course, if it is worth expounding on and worth understanding more about, and of course would come in handy towards addressing the COVID-19 pandemic, I think indeed we'll be here to ensure that we break it down for you. But before we exit the stage on matters, review on the newspapers, I think we go back to the Waiguru factor. This has been captured as the cartoon edition, and you can see Baba seated somewhere right there on the top at the helm. And of course, Waiguru somewhere, I don't know where, we're not able to get, are we able to get this? I guess we're not able to get it clearly. Can you see this?
Yeah, I can
yes, there you go. So Baba is a sanitizer according to you? Like honestly, if you saw what played out yesterday in Parliament, I mean at the Senate, and clearly, in as much as Baba said that everyone is going to carry their own cross, the likes of James Orengo, the ODM senators clearly showed that there was that push by Baba that you should proceed and save Anne Waiguru. And as it is, it's a clear picture.
I've maintained, and many people have disagreed with me on this, that Capitol Hill is the Kijito cha Utakaso.
We should start singing that song.
And so people who are tainted would run to Capitol Hill, and suddenly they are cleansed of all their misdeeds. And it's unfortunate, but that is what has been happening. Anyone who has been accused of corruption, once they go to they meet Raila Odinga, it's like suddenly they are sanitized. And this is not different with Waiguru. We saw her meeting in as much as Raila Odinga refuted claims that they actually met. Waiguru says they met. So, and the only reason they could be meeting after the impeachment was because she wanted to be in good books with Raila Odinga and his ODM brigade. So I agree with that cartoon to a very large extent. And the other unfortunate bit is that we do not have politicians who are honest. I mean, people should just come out and say, I support this person. I do not think they are guilty. Rather than coming out and saying, I do not have a position. We'll let the law take its course. Yet behind the scenes, they're working to. So it's unfortunate.
All right, it's pretty much unfortunate. What is left of Wanjiku? We expound more on that on the current affairs segment. If you look at how the likes of Murkomen were out there saying that this is impunity to the highest level and everything, then you just go back and remind yourself of what played out also in the Waititu saga, where Murkomen was eagerly and strongly trying to defend Waititu. Then you ask yourself, I mean, in as much as you'd point fingers at the people who are saving Waiguru right now, are the people who are not saving her as genuine? They are not, certainly. So we take a breather, we'll cross over to news, and we'll be coming back later on with more on the discussion. Philip Mwangali, thank you so much for your time, lawyer, leadership and governance consultant. I don't know whether we'll have you in the next segment. You will tell us after this. Welcome back to Morning Cafe. And from the newspaper review, we now cross over to news. The government has restricted vegetable vendors from chopping vegetables for their customers to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Most of these of course, vegetable vendors that are commonly referred to as mama boggers are now forced to at least ensure that they sell some of these vegetables to the vendors or to their customers without having to chop them. Of course, our reporter Mwangi Maina brings us this story.
At Kangemi Estate here in Nairobi, it is a beehive of activities. Small-scale vegetable vendors are busy preparing vegetables as they wait for prospective customers. The government's directive stopping them from chopping vegetables for their customers has not gone down well with a majority of them. They say they risk losing many customers who prefer buying their vegetables ready for cooking.
Sasa tulikuwa na makastoma wenye wanatupigia simu kama wako kazini tunatengeneza mboga, alafu wanakuja tu wanazichukua kama tumetengeneza. Sasa hii kama hao customer tuwapati, tunangojea mwenye anakuja mmoja mmoja tunamchagulia juu sasa mtu hawezi kuchagulia mwenyewe.
Kinunua mboga kama tuseme sahi ya 50 bob, unafunga upate faida ya mbao ama 50 bob. Na ibaki juu sasa mtu ni ngumu sana kuchukua yenye jakato.
However, there is a number of them supporting the government's directive, saying it will make their work easier as well as reducing exposure to the coronavirus.
Na wale wateja ambao labda hawajui katakata mboga kwao
Watajifundisha.
Many of these traders are complaining that their customers are not adhering to the COVID-19 containment measures, yet they are still selling to them. Cash transactions is a norm here, and traders are not restricting customers from sorting the vegetables.
Ununua carrot ama cabbage ama boga ama guashe na uone yule mama ambaye anakuuzia hana mask na hakuna mtu alisema ati unawe mkono, hakuna sanitizer, na wewe unachukua hiyo mboga na mboga hiyo ujui ni nani alikuwa ameshika hapo mbeleni.
Sometimes zinawaambia waoge mikono, wengine wanakasirika wanaacha nyanya, na wakimaliza kuchagua nyanya, mimi kwanza ni tuseme nimeshika hizi nyanya nimerudisha huko nimesipanga tena na make sure nimeoga mikono.
On the other hand, most traders insist that customers have to sanitize or wash hands before they touch the vegetables. However, a spot check on many stalls shows a grim picture. They lack sanitizers and water for washing hands.
Before you touch even just a single fruit, I have this banner. Leave alone this sanitizer. I have water at least, lakini sanitizer is not over yet, so you can sanitize before you touch. Now you can just come from nowhere, then you start. Then even I don't need your cash.
The government has ordered the traders to sell their vegetables on raised stalls, and many are in the race to adhere to this directive.
As the government continues to impose more measures to combat the spread of coronavirus, some Kenyans, especially the small-scale traders, will find it difficult to adapt to some of these measures, with them saying that some of these measures are not favorable to them. Reporting for TV47 from Kangemi in Nairobi, my name is Mwangi Maina.
So Marcus is my camera person in studio, and he complains about that. He says that the bachelor fraternity does not agree to that completely. Marcus, you need to hasten the process. Now, the government has announced the extension of operating hours for restaurants from 4 p.m. in the evening to 7:30 p.m. Health CS Mutahi Kagwis has said that this comes as a result of restaurants adhering to containment measures following their reopening last month, as most restaurant owners and operators in the country welcome the move. David Muthoka reports.
It is yet another reprieve for restaurants in the country after the Health Ministry Tuesday gave the green light to extend their closure hours from 4 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. A move that has been received with open arms by hoteliers as they remain optimistic to revamp their gains. Njeri is a waiter at Smart Joint Center within the city.
To us, ni advantage. At least customer wenye walikuwa wanakuja hiyo time bado wanakuja juu walikuwa wanakuja before wanaogopa kafyu wakuji, so this time juu kafyu imeextendiwa at least wanakam. Sasa tunatarajia wengine karibu 50 juu hiyo kafyu imeextendiwa, ambapo tunatarajia mengi, at least tukiongeza chakula maybe.
According to Health CS Mutai Kagwe, the decision to adjust closure hours follows consultations that revealed restaurants that have since reopened in the country have toed the line on matters containment measures. However, bars and entertainment joints will remain shut.
Public health officials in their respective areas are required to ensure that these guidelines are complied with. They are further required to conduct regular inspection of the facilities, and any operator found not to follow the guidelines will have their licenses and certificates to operate withdrawn permanently.
Mutai says waiters and other workers in restaurants will have time to beat the 9 p.m. curfew under the new readjustments.
This will allow the workers in restaurants, most of whom are actually being housed by the restaurant owners themselves within the hotels, but it will allow enough time.
This as the total number of infections in the country reached 3,860, with one fatality recorded in the past 24 hours.
Now, in yet another bid by the government to return to normalcy, hotels continue to benefit, with the government now extending closing hours from 4 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. David Mudhoka, TV47, Nairobi.
And Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru's case will now be prosecuted by an 11-member committee. 45 senators have voted in favor of a committee with party politics and affiliations shaping the voting. And as Elizabeth Mutuku now reports, the committee has 10 days to prosecute Waiguru's case and table a report in the House.
Mr. Speaker, point of order, Mr. Speaker. It is very point of order, Mr. Speaker.
After heated debate, the Senate has now settled on an 11-member committee to prosecute Kirinyaga governor's case. 45 senators voted in favor of the committee against 14 senators who opposed the motion.
The nays 14, the ayes 45. So
members to serve in the ad hoc committee include Senators Abshiro Halake, Michael Mbito, Mwangi Githiomi, Beth Mugo, Anwar Oloitiptip, Philip Mpaye, Cleophas Malala, Beatrice Kwamboka, Stewart Mazayo, Judith Pareno, and Moses Kajwang.
To hold its sitting on Tuesday, 23rd June 2020, morning starting from 10 a.m. and ending at 12:30 p.m.
The senators opposed to the select committee are claiming the committee might be compromised.
The people of the Republic of Kenya want plenary. Mr. Speaker, it doesn't matter what the outcome of the process will be. Speaker, the people of Kirinyaga have all along the week suspected that, Mr. Speaker, there is a decision already made elsewhere to form a committee to save Waiguru.
No, order.
Then Senator Orengo goes public, Mr. Speaker, to confirm.
It looks like the die is cast, but I can tell the people of Kirinyaga, going the committee way, the verdict is known. Watch this piece.
Intense lobbying has been happening, with the party politics playing a major role in shaping the fate of Waiguru. The Jubilee Party was already divided on the vote.
That head is not for Salome. That head is for somebody. Waiguru's head is being asked for not by the county assembly. I can tell you, and I have the evidence. The people who are looking for Waiguru's head is not the county assembly.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
I cannot support the insistence. I cannot support the insistence, Mr. Speaker, that you must go the Kirinyaga way.
The committee has 10 days to prosecute Waiguru's petition and present a conclusive report before the House.
I therefore direct that the committee commences their work immediately and report back within 10 days.
Waiguru was impeached by Kirinyaga County Assembly, who accused her of various charges including gross misconduct, abuse of office, and manipulating the public procurement procedures. She is also accused of illegally conferring a benefit of 10 million to herself for travel allowance. Already the Senate having decided to go the committee route, now it's just a matter of time to see whether Governor Waiguru is exonerated or not. Elizabeth Michuku, TV47, Palm Buildings, Nairobi.
The judiciary is in the process of enhancing its operations after they were suspended on the 16th March this year to curb the spread of coronavirus. The new changes are coming in the wake of a stalemate between the judiciary and the executive, and of course with all the blame heaved on President Uhuru Kenyatta for derailing operations of the judiciary. Eli Logova reports.
After resumption of court operations Monday, the judiciary has initiated new measures to streamline and improve efficiency as the court faces a bulk of cases to handle. Through a letter by the Registrar of Judiciary, Ann Amadi, filing of cases will now be done through electronic system effective July 1st, 2020. These changes in the courts come in the midst of a standoff between the judiciary and the executive. Now Kenya Party leader Martha Karua and the Law Society of Kenya have now thrown their weight behind the judiciary, accusing President Uhuru Kenyatta of hampering the operations of the judiciary.
Down to resolve the issues, but where the matter has gone as far as court orders, unless if there is an order of stay, then orders must be obeyed by all. The Attorney General had a chance to defend the government in court. If the court did not agree with him and he was aggrieved, he's at liberty to appeal and to ask for stay.
As soon as that was done, and came in the administration of President Uhuru Kenyatta, several attempts were made to interfere with the independence of the judiciary. The first attempt, you remember, was the refusal to appoint judges who had been recommended for appointment.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has been on the receiving end for failing to appoint the 41 judges who were proposed by the Judicial Service Commission last year. President Uhuru Kenyatta holds that the integrity of some of the judges is questionable. Eli Logova, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Eli, for that. As Kenya joined the rest of the world in marking the Day of the African Child, it is clear that children are among the most affected group in the COVID-19 pandemic. The closure of schools, the threat of coronavirus infection, and early pregnancies are just but a few of the challenges parents are dealing with in these hard times. And as Zainab Mohammed explains, lack of proper measures by the government on children's safety might just result in a lasting effect to children even after the pandemic.
It's midday. We arrive at Miriam's house in Kasarani. Miriam, not her real name, receives us with a smile on her face. But this smile does not last for long, as Miriam is full of sorrow. Just 3 months since the closure of schools, Miriam's daughter is pregnant. It is a situation that truly saddens the mother of 5, as she says this would not have happened if her daughter was still in school.
Ile ya kuambiwa tu abruptly no more school. Sasa hiyo ndio ilichangia watoto wengi, sio wangu peke yake. Hata nikitembea huku nje huwa naangalia watoto nasema kia Mungu si aturehemu.
As we speak to Miriam, her 18-year-old daughter walks in. Mary, not her real name, explains to us how the fear of early pregnancy had her opting for suicide.
Nilikuwa naona tu ni kama mimi ni laana tu kwa familia yangu. Juu sister yangu hajasoma, mimi pia ndo namaliza form na mimba. Nikitembea tu watu wananipoint. Nikona ngatu mimi ni laana kwa familia yetu. Sengine nakanga tu chini nasema hadi singezaliwa.
Mary and her siblings lack access to online learning despite 2 of the 5 children being candidates for the national examinations.
Siku nilionanga tu kwa news baboyuna anafundishanga. Sasa nilikuwa natamani ningetu hadi ningekuanga na hiyo, ningekuwa na simu ya internet. Nione hadi venye anafundisha. kwa sababu sisi hadi hakuna hadi pesa, hakuna pali mtu hata simu hadi mtu hawezi nunua. Simu mamangu tu ndo anakuanga nayo, na yake pia ingiangi internet.
Miriam also tells us the danger her children have been facing due to her inability to afford masks.
Siwezi taka kupoteza mtoto wangu ambaye nimetunza hizi miaka zenye ameishi duniani kwa kitu kidogo tu chenye ningemwambia nawa mkono hapo. Cheza hapa ama usicheze pale.
Veronica Mwangi, the Deputy Director at Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, says lack of proper guidelines in children protection during this COVID-19 pandemic puts them at a higher risk.
Despite we as a country facing this COVID-19 pandemic 3 to 4 months down the road now, we have not had a specific child protection guideline or different measures which have been put in place to safeguard children from the impact of COVID-19, but also to safeguard them with the understanding that children are vulnerable.
According to Veronica, police stations are recording a high number of sexual violence cases prior to the pandemic, with many lacking the right access to justice.
The National Council of Administration of Justice, in their directives given on matters access to justice, there was little or no mention on access to justice for children in Kenya. So again, something that then also comes in to bring the challenge of really also denying the children the opportunity to follow up on access to justice despite COVID-19. And again, lack of that particular coordination at the council, which has really brought about a broken chain on access to justice for children. It has also affected the referral pathways. That is, if a case is reported at the community level, there is no clarity as to how this case is going to be taken up. And noting also the fact that the cases which were given prioritization, including children, most of them also, there has been use of virtual processes which children have not been supported formally to engage in, because children really can be scared about technology. When you appear before a computer and you are told this is how you are going to speak to the judge or speak to the magistrate or speak to someone else, it then again, it can easily impact on the access to justice for that particular child.
This is one among many sad stories of the challenges faced by an African child during this COVID-19 period. And now it is up to the government to come to their rescue before it's too late. For TV47, I'm Zainab Mohammed.
Thank you, Zainab, for that. And it's time that we now take a break, and we'll be right back on the current affairs matters, discussing, issues that are affecting us right now, especially this time of COVID-19. Remember, it's the Wednesday edition where we crunch more on matters COVID-19 and its effects across the globe, across the continent, across, of course, the local fraternity, as we take a look at how, of course, we are able to step out of this pandemic unscathed, or if scathed, then we still stay afloat. After this break, we'll be right back with more. right, welcome back to Morning Cafe. Time to grind on the current affairs. But today we say that we'll be more of discussing the COVID-19 pandemic in the country, the global fraternity. And we are joined by Zach Bobi, who's an economist. He will be crunching the numbers if at all there are any to crunch on. And we'll also have Alex Mwadhi, who's a current affairs analyst. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for finding time to be with us this morning. And 3/4 of the people, or the global fraternity, has written off 2020. I mean, many arguing that actually it's just as good as useless a year. What do you make of that statement? Is it too rough? Is it too tight? Or it is justified based on what we've experienced courtesy of COVID-19?
It is justified because if you recall, COVID-19, as they say in China, was there from around August 2019. So most likely it reached us kitambo sana. And from there, around March, it's like we have been in lockdown. The economy has not been doing well. And remember also, we are coming from a recession. From 2017, 2018, 2019, our economy was not doing well, either because of the elections or because we got some things wrong as a country. So coming from that recession, and then now COVID-19 happens, and then we have all these lockdowns, so that we are not able to import, we are not able to export, our farmers are not doing very well, and all the money that has been promised by government to the farmers to cushion them from these effects is not yet accessible or available. Then we can say that 2020 is already half-wasted, and what we are hearing in the global economy is not also very good, so that we don't expect a lot of foreign direct investments into the country. Africa is going to suffer as well, and these global economies are interconnected because we trade with each other. We manufacture, produce to sell to other people, sometimes not just within ourselves. And it brings me to the next point. We need to look inward now. I think this has taught us that there are things we can do for ourselves without naturally, relying on our neighbors for things that we can make ourselves. We need to sit, gather information, gather data to see what is it we can do. And I believe we can do everything. If KU can make ventilators, if our young people can make applications so that we are able to supply, the digital platform, then it means this is something we can do. So we can look at it also as an opportunity to do better, so that we have a good country, we have a good economy, but we can make it better.
Well, that's amazing. And coming to you, Alex, Zach speaking on an economic perspective, and in as much as we all know that indeed, some 3/4, a majority of activities are driven on by the monetary value, of course, that they hold. It's also important to look at other sectors, to look at other angles. Do you suppose then that we can confidently write off 2020 as a year that is wasted?
I'm a firm believer that every opportunity that comes in life comes to help us change. I will not write off 2020. I will take it as a year where we had an opportunity as a country, as individuals, to reset, who do business, have not traveled. Yet we are still doing some level of business. We are not moving as much as we can, even within the country. And it's an opportunity for each and every one of us to rethink those things that we consider to be very important in our lives and actually reset. So for me, this is the best opportunity. And in history, in life, there is no country or any individual progressed until they reach a point where something drastic happened in their lives and they started moving on. If I can quote even the Bible, you see, Saul reached a point where he became blind and he became Saul of Tarsus became Paul. And that's when he started preaching the gospel. So which means that this is quite an opportunity for us. And I've been talking to a lot of people, telling them that this is not time to mourn. This is not time to look back, on the side mirrors. It's a time to look at the windscreen in front of us and think, what is it that I need to change in my life? This have given me an opportunity to reset myself so that I can move forward. That if I depended on China to supply me anything, isn't it time that I thought I can produce that thing today in this country? So this for me is not a lost year, it's the best year ever for us to be able to refocus ourselves and to rethink ourselves on the things that are more important in our lives and reset our lives completely.
All right, amazing. Let's bend a bit or an idea that matters economists. That's why you actually have an economist on a board. And lots of changes and shakeups coming, of course, after this. And the latest, of course, is good to discuss what is the latest, is that one of Mama Mboga. And I think it's a story that I've gone through and you've all watched it. And now Mama Mbogas are being told you cannot cut the bogas for your clients. Something that people are looking at differently. Some of them celebrating this, some of them equally saying that, this is now going to drain us. So it's obvious that this economic impact is now going to the lowest of cadres. Will this render us useless, or it's time then that we reconsider reopening and revamping our economy and just figure out how we can stay with COVID-19? Zach?
We should have actually reopened a long time ago. Yeah. We are actually late in reopening the economy. But let me say this as well. The people who innovate, the people who become creative in their business are the people who succeed more in terms of when we have a pandemic like this. So even for Mama Mboga, whatever kind of business you are engaged in, whatever kind of entrepreneurial activity you are engaged in, we need to keep innovating. We have to look for better ways of doing things. Like right now, as my brother Alex here says, we are able to deliver that mboga. We are able to deliver food, we are able to deliver drinks, we are able to deliver medical supplies to people through applications. Yeah. So Mama Mboga does not have to actually cut the mboga the way we are used to seeing, but we can move away from that into something even better. Why not come up with packaging? Why not come up with home deliveries instead of having people going into markets in large numbers and possibly risking getting the virus? What else can we do? So solutions are there. So we are changing the whole sphere of business from Mama Mboga up to the level of financial industry in terms of we are using our mobile phones. You remember when we started with President Kibaki around 2003, the mobile network connectivity was very low. Yeah. We used to hear of stories in Uganda where Mama Mboga has a phone, and we were amazed at those stories. But today, the connectivity is there. So we are moving into the digital sphere, the information sphere. So in this information sphere, we don't want to leave anyone out there in rural areas just because they do not have innovation. So we need to innovate on the way we do business. Let's do home deliveries. Let's avoid crowds. Let's avoid places where we could spread the virus very quickly. You've seen even churches coming online, and reaching people, reaching their washirika, even in the villages. So these things are happening. So the digital platform, the information age is here with us. So what we need to do is to choose to get an opportunity from there.
All right, as we choose to get an opportunity from all this, Alex, then one would argue that it's not like we've not had innovative minds for the longest of time. We've had our youths with creative ideas, but then again, we are also in a country that in a way has lots of constraints. And sometimes in as much as you'd want to be creative, you'd want to be innovative, you find that your hands are tied. I mean, is it then an opportune time that we are able to, of course, proceed and see some of these innovations being put to use, even as we continue battling with COVID-19 amid all these restrictions that we witness today? And closure of businesses, closure of activities, some of these innovations would require so much but then again, it becomes hard.
I just want to address the Mama Mboga and chopping off the mbogas. And in my opinion, and is a very early informed opinion, It was a nonsensical instruction, completely nonsensical. The cabinet minister, the cabinet secretary does not live in Kenya. He lives in Mars or some other space.
He's not being realistic.
He's not being realistic whatsoever. He needs to walk to Kariobangi. He needs to walk to Mukuru kwa Jenga. And tell me how you can enforce such a ruling.
But we all said that it's unrealistic for us to be having masks all over. It will be unrealistic for us to be washing hands all over. But it's happening.
We didn't do. There is a practicability of doing certain things. You know, you and I live in a middle class. All these sanitization of that are not happening in Mukuru kwa Njenga.
Well,
let's face it. And the majority of our population live there. So one wishes that we had a government officials who live in Kenya, so they can understand where 60-70% of the population lives, so that when they give instructions or rules or whatever, they make sense. That gives an opportunity to the chief, to the administration police, who is in that area, to collect bribes. That's it. It's not practical to be done.
All right. Well, the practicability of, lots of things that are being, of course, being on board is on question, and how would be able to achieve a majority of this. But we have seen the hotel industry doing so well, such that they have been awarded by an extension of their operating hours to 7:30. Initially, they had been told, okay, close down completely. Then we moved from that to a level whereby they have the extension of there was the curfew hours, and then they were told you can only operate up until 4 p.m. when they reopened. And of course, they cried out loud after the extension of the curfew, and the government has heed to their cry. And this is what they cite: because you've successfully done what was expected of you, then we are here to extend your working hours. It seemed unrealistic, Zach, but it worked.
Yes, it is working, and for the simple reason that people are still following guidelines, especially in hotels where I have been, where I have visited. But we also have to take cognizance of the fact that there are places where these protocols are not being fully observed.
Right.
But for an economy, then you cannot close for long, because you are not giving people food. They still have, and about 80% or 70% of our economy is informal. Farming and simple small businesses, mama mboga, that we've spoken about. So you cannot close for a long time, because these people usually make the money during the day to have some food in the evening. A majority of them cannot even afford 3 meals a day. So there is no way, if you're not giving them food and you're not giving them medication, then you cannot lock down for long. So I think that is where now the advice came from. From the word go, at least we were able to have people out there making a living. That way now we removed the necessity of going to households and giving them food. So we only concentrate now on the aged and those disabled and those who cannot go out there to make money. The formal economy was shut down. Remember, tourism was hit from day one when international travel was hit. Tourism is down. Hotel industry had to be opened first, because it was the one that shut down at the beginning. So by and by, then we need to open the whole economy. And we don't need even the curfew. I don't make sense of the curfew.
Wait a minute. Why do you say this after the president expounded so well, said that, in as much as I would have wanted for us to reopen, to go back to normalcy as a country, experts argue otherwise. And if at all we're talking about, being realistic and all that, what reality should we go by? The reality of what is being projected to us by the medical experts, or the reality of the fact that, we need to keep the economy rolling? We need to keep the economy moving, because as a country, we are not able to sustain ourselves if we continue with what we are doing right now as containment measures to COVID-19. Alex?
It's critical. I'm an engineer by profession, so I know that if I give an advice in term on engineering, then you're well advised to follow my advice, because chances are you get a good result.
Okay.
So naturally, of course, the the advices that have been there from the medical field is the best measure for us to be able to take. But I think what Zach is saying is that even when we get the complete medical advice, you also need to consider weigh it against the economic situation, because someone has argued that to open or to open is a moral dilemma, because when you close, you lose lives because of hunger.
Right.
If you open,
you will lose
life because of COVID. And you have to weigh the two.
Right.
And it's a moral. It's not basically a technical issue. It's more a moral dilemma. What would you rather have?
But the entire, we'd want to assume that the global fraternity is closed as of now, and we are interdependent. We have been operating on basis of integration and all that. So, in as much as we say that, okay, the Tanzanian way, let's do it ourselves and let's do it on our own. I mean, the rest of the world is locked, and we're not able to trade with them. We're not able to comfortably, bring things back to normalcy as they would with them. So, don't you think again we'll be like shooting ourselves in the foot?
We are having a kind of an experimental way of doing things. No one knows for sure what works and what doesn't work. Let's face it. The World Health Organization, first of all, came and said you must all wear masks. A month into that, they said, no, only the people who are sick should wear a mask. Then that changed to lockdown works, lockdown doesn't work.
Hold it right there, sir. We'll come back to you. We'll need to fix something. Let's come back to Zach. On the very same note, I mean, how realistic is it? While you can be an economist and you say that, we have to keep rolling, we have to keep staying afloat, so at least we don't drain the economy completely. The realities of trading with other countries, the realities of trading and integrating, on the global perspective. I mean, would they allow us to confidently and comfortably say that we are reopening and we are resuming normal activities?
We are still trading, remember, with other countries, albeit
yes, the trade is still ongoing, but lots of activities have been halted. So why would we assume that we can revive ours?
And that hold is why I'm saying what we need to recover this economy, which was in recession even before coronavirus happened here, is we need a 24-hour economy. We are working to be able to do social distancing. Visit any office, even in government offices. To be able to do social distancing, you need a third of your employees within an office setting. So that means if only a third are being used during the day, then you need 3 shifts to be able to utilize all the staff members that you have. That tells you if we work 8 hours, for each third, then we will cover the 24 hours. So we will have people in government offices every day, every hour of the day, including nights. We will have employees working in flower farms, working in offices, working in our chambers. If we can be able to actualize this 24-hour economy, working 7 days a week, except one day where you can choose your Friday to be your off day if you are a Muslim. You can choose your Saturday to be your off day if you are an SDA. You can choose your Sunday to be your off day so that you go to church. That way now, we will be able to recover the time we have lost during this pandemic. Because remember, most offices are still closed. And those that are open, including government offices, are working at a third of their total output. So what I'm saying here is we needed to open earlier. So we don't need the curfew because we need people to work 24 hours.
Right.
Simple. We can have the lockdown for NMA, the Nairobi metropolitan area and all that, but the curfew should go.
All right. Well, okay, the curfew should go. Well, that's interesting. And we come back to you, Alex. You were expounding more on something, but I'll top up this on it. Have we adopted so well to a point, well, we're saying that we're still struggling as of now to, abide by the measures that have been provided for. And reality again is this, if at all we have to reopen, if at all we have to go back to normalcy or try normalcy again, we have no choice but to abide by the rules that have been put upon. Social distancing, I mean, masks all over, sanitize, washing of hands. Have we adapted this to the level where we can, give confidence to the government that you can proceed and reopen? We will behave, like churches say, we will make sure that we maintain the measures that have been put on board.
I have an advantage in that in my social work, I go to the larger population of this town that stay in the slums, whether it's Kawangware or Mathare or wherever. And we can write a long story, essay on how successful social distance has become and all that. But the practicability of it, Linda, is a majority of the people have no opportunity to practice social distancing.
Yeah.
Because they live in single rooms, they live 5-6 people in the single rooms. The rooms are next to each other. So the majority of the population in Nairobi cannot social distance even if they wanted.
Honestly, like you said, I think
the
government should come back to Kenya and stay in
Yes,
Kenya.
they should come back to Kenya.
But you want to tell me that they're not alive to this fact?
So they are not, because they live in mass.
Oh yeah?
Yes, because think of this, Linda.
All right.
Nairobi is locked down. What does that mean? Everybody that is in Nairobi must stay in Nairobi. Last week we saw the Minister of Health himself going to Othaya and going to Nyandarua.
Well, essential services, they said.
Who said that? You go to Britain, the PA to the Prime Minister did a similar thing, and now he's in trouble. He will lose his job because of that. Because once you lock, you must not pretend that you're above the law. You are not.
And you cannot move around.
Who told you that he has to go to Othaya or wherever else?
Yeah.
He has officials there that can do over this period of the COVID. So there's a sense in which we are not serious in what we say and what all that. And yes, I had said earlier that this is a moral dilemma as to which is the worst, whatever. I've watched the US of A, and their president, Donald Trump, had insisted that let's open this economy. But the governors have the power to be able to keep the place locked. Then George Floyd happened.
Yes.
What happened?
They were all out.
The economy opened.
Yes.
Now nobody can tell them lock up. And there's this argument that this thing has been going on for more than 2 weeks, and we haven't seen an increase in terms of the number of cases that are coming out. So the point is, we are doing experiment in terms of what prevents this disease from flowing. We need to follow what the experts are telling us, but also be cognizant of the fact that there are practical issues that needs to be also looked into. You say you lock down people in Mathare, Kawangware, and the rest of the place, and those people want to go out, make some 500 shillings or 300 shillings, come back home and buy unga and eat. If you lock them down, what do you expect them to do? You tell them social distance, but they live 5-6 people in a single room, in a 10 by 10 room, and you're telling them social distance. They laugh on your face. The circumstance that I live in, I can't social distance myself. So I think it would be nice for us to be practical, especially the people that are in government, and actually travel in Kenya and go around in Nairobi. They don't need to go to Othaya. They just need to go across to Kawangware, the slums, and see the circumstances that
maybe
are there.
that's what informs numerous cases emanating from Kawangware, emanating from the likes of Kibera slums. Zach, if you are to observe the trends and observe what Alex brings on board, do you suppose then that there is something that is not coming out clear in terms of information for the dissemination of the common mwananchi or any other person who would be of interest?
There is actually no information about the coronavirus as you would have expected. The World Health Organization is groping in the dark. Governments are groping in the dark. Nobody actually knows the economic impact, as it were. Nobody knows what the virus is all about and when it's going to be over. Nobody knows when we can get a vaccine, if it was to be possible. And nobody knows if we have medication that works. Even what we are hearing in Britain is only 30% effective. And without this information, then it means we are all groping in the dark, because one day you have to wear a mask, the next day you don't have to wear a mask. One day 80% of the population is asymptomatic, and asymptomatic people are passing the disease to other people. Then the next day asymptomatic people are not passing the disease to people. So nobody can tell you with clarity, 100% clarity, that this is what coronavirus is all about. And that's why my insistence on the economy part of it. Okay? We need to reopen. We must reopen. We have no choice because we don't have enough food to give to these people. We don't have enough resources to feed our population. Our population out there is mostly actually subsistence, hand to mouth. So if we do not reopen, then we are putting ourselves up for social destabilization. Where now, and I think that's why then the curfew came. All right? Because we didn't want people moving around at night and going to steal from those who have. That is basically why we had the curfew. You cannot explain it any other way. It was for social order. Right?
Alex, you are laughing at this because, well, in a way, while it is funny, it makes so much sense. And, just trying to understand, there's so much that is still unclear about the COVID-19, actually. It's something as unclear as who was the first person to have gotten COVID-19 in the first place. It is that unclear. What if we do not open the economy? What if we do not, drop the curfew? What if we do not drop the cessation? And the numbers that we, or projected that we would expect in the event that we overlook all this?
It's very simple, that if we continue treating this thing abnormally,
are we going
you don't treat us abnormally.
Yeah.
The point is, there's a huge projection in terms of the world economy contracting by 6% this year. There's a projection that economies like Kenya, of course, will be hit much harder. So the numbers are showing, I think, at 1.6 or 2%, which I think is a joke. I think our contraction will even be higher because our economy is dependent on small enterprises, SMEs. And SMEs are the worst hit by this lockdown. Right. So if we don't open up, of course, there will be a huge contraction of the economy. With the contraction of economy, our poverty levels will go up. If our poverty levels go up, crime rate will increase. Because there is no way majority of people have nothing to eat, and there are a few people, because even in this COVID, there's still people who are making a lot of money.
Interestingly,
like the people who are supplying your masks, they're making a killing for crying out loud. So which means that the haves and have-nots, the gap will grow, and that for me at the end of it is a whole social issue of crime and people wanting to be able to eat on a daily basis. And I think that's why those that are responsible should stop going to Nyeri, Othaya, and Nyandarua and sit down and rethink how they can do a better job of allowing the economy to move forward even in the midst of this. I don't know whether you caught the Director General of Health about a week ago, saying that they expect the curve to whatever flatten. By the way, we don't have a curve.
Okay.
We don't have a curve.
All right.
But you say the curve will flatten.
What do we have?
We've tested 100,000 people. Out of a population of 47 million.
That's
in about 100 days. So we are jokers.
Okay.
We have the capacity to test 37,000 people per day.
Do we?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Remember at some point in time, also the World Health Organization questioned the testing capacity of Africa, arguing that sometimes some of these cases could actually be just, not legit because, we probably do not have the capacity, or we do not have the right facility, or we do not have the right, of course, kits that are expected to help us test.
The government has said we have the capacity to do 37,000. We have done per day. We have done 110,000 in 4 months.
Yes.
Which means we are jokers. Which means those numbers that we have means nothing. Because the test model is so low that if you go by the average that you are getting about 2 to 3%, it means that we have almost, I think, 1 million people who are positive at this particular moment. The government must try to speed that up so that they can be able to understand what exactly. So there is no curve. So, but Amoth said that this curve will flatten in September, which meant that the economy will be closed up to September.
Yeah.
That is not good for the entire economy. We need to be able to rethink that, either speed up that. Oh, by the way, you notice that the stuff that were donated by Jack Ma was stolen, eh?
Yes.
From
and
the
also,
government, from
and
the
the cabinet
stores.
secretary says, you know what, I have heard of that too. And
Can you imagine?
You have heard of that too, sir? And we're looking into that, so yes.
I flinched. The Minister of Health is telling me that
unfortunate.
he had something like that also.
Yes.
So hence, there's no curve. So we need to really rethink and reopen this economy so that we don't die of hunger. We'd rather have the collateral damage of the few people that get infected. And I think as Africans, we have a bigger ability to resist. This is not scientific, but I think we have a bigger ability to resist these kind of diseases.
Okay, well, so they say. I'll come back to you on the budget, even as we say, let's reopen. So much or a large chunk of what is in the budget has been incorporated towards reviving the economy or making us, go back to normalcy. I don't know whether this is able, or this is, of course, realistic at all. I mean, when you look at the numbers, we'll be coming to Zach later on after this break so that he can help us crunch the numbers and see whether indeed with the kind of budget that we have would be able to go back to normalcy after this break. Or go back to normalcy after COVID-19, or even at this particular time of COVID-19. Do they make sense, the numbers? economic sense for that matter?
To an extent, yes, but to a large extent, no. Because as I told you earlier, we are coming from a 3-year recession. So we shouldn't actually be talking of a COVID-19 stimulus. COVID has been here since March 26, is it? So it's a very short time. But coming from a recession, we should be thinking long term. We should be thinking of reviving an economy that was already on its knees. So many people had lost their jobs before Corona. So many companies had closed. Just walk down a street anywhere in Kenya, you will find that shops that were open, say in 2017, 2016, are closed. Monies that were coming in, even foreign remittances that were coming in 2016, 2017 are no longer there. So what we need is a huge economic turnaround. I don't know if we can afford it. But then the government can do this. Number one, government has no business being in business, so they should privatize all these parastatals that are not that are just taking our taxes. The KQs of this world. So many Mumia Sugar. You know, we can't keep bailing out companies that are not making sense, economic sense in a country. If the government was to privatize, these farms would be run in a profitable way from the way the private sector works, the way Mama Mboga works. If I'm buying my mbogas from a shamba and I'm not making money, I stop buying mbogas and I start doing beans. So that's how you run economies. We have to make money. Number two, we have to expand the middle class because we have collapsed it in the last 3 years, so that we have had more poor people, more people moving from the middle class down to the lower class. So we need to raise them up. And because we have very many enterprising young men and women who are already digital, who are already in ICT, we need to fund ideas, from banks. I don't know if there is anyone in Kenya who has ever got a loan from a bank to actualize an idea. But this is where we should be headed. Where is the capital? Right? The capital is in the banks. The capital is in the youth funds of this world, the Cherry Fund. But these monies are not accessible, as I told you. So we need these regulations to make this money available to the youth. Number three, the central bank needs to lower the rate of CRR, the capital reserve ratio, from 4 percentage points to around 1, so that we release money to the banking industry, so that the financial industry is able to lend to entrepreneurs. That way now we broaden the base of taxpayers and we also broaden the base of entrepreneurs. Yes.
All right. President Uhuru Kenyatta the other day saying or calling upon African leaders to ensure that they make the best of the youths, because it would come in handy to us ensuring that the economy is revived at this point of COVID-19. But that aside, and I come to you, Alex. Even as we say, let's reopen, even as we say, probably, there's so much that is still not clear about COVID-19 and we should put it aside and focus on how best we can survive. There's a lot of stigma that is associated with this. There's a lot of negativity and uncertainty that is associated with this. How do we ape this out? How do we wipe it out?
You mean the whole issue of people accepting that there's COVID-19 or not?
Stigma, you see, well, that is key. And also the aspect of stigma, the fact that, yes, there's an assumption that it's there, and people are not even coming out to speak if they have been diagnosed or if they have been found to have COVID-19. Nobody is coming out to say that, yes, I have COVID-19, apart from the Brenda case that we experienced the other time. I mean, because there's so much fear and stigma that revolves around this. So how do we get the society out of that mentality, of that feel, so we can be able to go back to normalcy and function as normal people?
Well, in my mind, what happens is that the way you communicate something determines how that thing will be appreciated. And I think, Linda, you being in media, you know that you can create an agenda. The agenda for COVID-19 has been that if you are positive, then you are a danger to the society. And if you are a danger to the society, the only thing that you can do is to stay away. And that's where the stigma comes from. That when you have COVID-19, which is Homa, is a flu.
It is basically a flu.
It's basically a flu. We should stop making it look like it's the end of the world.
Right.
You saw how the Chinese were doing in Wuhan. They will lock up, and there are videos that are coming that people would actually be crying inside the houses, and they would be barricaded inside the house. We must come up and say, like tuberculosis. If your relative has tuberculosis, what you need to do is just to take care that you don't get the spit-ons, you don't get close to him enough to be able to get it. Now here, when you're supposed to, if you are found that you had it, and you're in contact with anybody who was positive, you are locked up in an isolation station. And I keep thinking, what a nonsensical thing to do. What a nonsensical thing to do. I was in contact with somebody with this thing, and it's like death. It's like a death sentence. And I think the government must come out and stop this nonsense and allow people to be able to self-isolate themselves. People are sensible enough to do that, so that we remove the stigma. Those of us who are slightly older, when AIDS was found in 1984-85, it was exactly the same. You knew that if somebody was HIV positive, they were dead at a particular moment. And people mostly died because of the worries that they went through. The same thing with this COVID-19. We need to rethink very completely how we handle those people that are found to be positive. There are people who are sick. There are people that need to be taken more care. If we can take tuberculosis patients at home today, you remember in the olden days they used to be isolated also. But today they come home. Once they start taking the medicine, they come home. What you do is just take care that whatever they eat with, the utensils they use, the room they sleep in, you isolate them within the house without making them feel isolated. They're still part of the family. In the same way, if we do that with COVID-19, then it will help us to remove the stigma that is with this COVID-19. And talking about budgets.
Yes.
Talking about budgets. Very interesting. I have only one comment. Zach knows I have decided not to comment about budgets because they don't make any sense. Because number one, they are done, they're never followed. Number two, the government, from the day they announce the budget, they know they will misuse 40%, and they will tell you openly.
Sadly.
So basically, but the key thing about budgets is this. One of the items that controls this economy is oil. Fuel,
yes.
Linda, and the government demands 54 shillings per litre of petrol
super petrol,
as taxes, irrespective of the price.
There's no
That's the minimum. You ask anybody, you call somebody from the fuel industry here, they'll tell you that. So which means when you are buying fuel at 82 shillings, 54 was going to the government as tax. Now that you are buying at 89, their share is about 55 shillings.
Right. It goes up,
In the United States of America today, a litre of petrol is 35 shillings. Which means the price at the pump is almost half the tax the Kenya government is taking. So that tells you the rest of the stories are nonsensical.
Well, all right. Well, that's an interesting way to look at it. Zach, you had some reservations in regards to the stigma that is being projected by the day, and it is pretty much sad because if we are to reopen, if we are to go back to normalcy, it becomes very hard if we are all again so suspicious.
I think what most people are forgetting is other diseases are still here with us. We've lost more people to floods than to COVID-19. In the first 2 days of the curfew, we lost more people to police brutality than we lost to coronavirus. We still have cancer, we still have diabetes, we still have other diseases, and people are not going to hospital because they believe if they go to hospital then they will come back with the coronavirus. So we need to remove that. We need to tell our people that these other sicknesses are still with us. And that's why I'm wondering why we have the curfew in the first place. We are just making money for the police. And masks, we are making money for the police. I remember guys, policemen going to shambas and arresting people that they don't have a mask, and they're in the shamba cultivating. That's a public place. You need a mask, and you have to part with the 200 bob to go free. So why do we have 20,000 fine for a mask? why don't we do it the way Joho did? You know, give the policemen these masks. Instead of arresting people who do not have them, let them supply the masks to them. And then another question that is probably coming on strongly, when we talk of opening and closing the economy, when we had very few numbers, we locked.
Yeah.
When we have big, huge numbers, 3,000, we are opening. So it doesn't make sense. We should have opened. We should never have closed.
Have locked in the first place.
And then nobody is
the numbers
telling
would
you,
have been worse today.
Yeah, and nobody is telling you, and that's why sometimes we get bored of the afternoon briefings by the minister, the MOH, because they are not telling us how far are we in getting a vaccine. Are we funding research?
Yeah.
So how far are we in getting medication? What are we doing to those patients who are recovering? Are they recovering miraculously, or are we giving them this kind of medication? So this information is not there. And then we are not being told, has lockdown worked? We had key performance indicators.
They say it works because they say the projections would have been worse right now.
Where are the statistics? Where are the numbers? So has it worked in Nairobi only? Has it worked in Mandera? Has it worked in Lokicha? So where is it working? And in terms of transmission, remember we are the ones who allowed the visitors to come in very early on in the year. So what has changed? So why are we opening now? So when you don't have answers for all those questions, then you don't believe your government. You don't believe the information coming from them. So they are the ones who have created this scenario of misinformation. So what we need to do is, we need to open the economy, we need to do away with the curfew, and we need to bring food prices down. I remember suggesting that we need to get away the VAT on fuel for 6 months, so that fuel comes down, electricity goes down, because you remember there is a component of fuel in your bill. There is an inflation adjustment. I don't know why they should adjust for inflation. It's like we don't live in the same country. So we shouldn't have this. If we were to do that for 6 months only, then we would be able to bring prices down. And are we buying from farmers? We have 500 million for milk. Are we buying?
From our very own.
From our very own. And then we look inward. Do we even need to import toothpicks, kiberiti? Do we need to? Can we make them locally? And when we speak of the 4 agenda, one of them is manufacturing. So how realistic are we if power cost is so high up, if our production cost is so high up, when are we going to achieve production and manufacturing locally? Are we even supporting these local industries?
Okay. And on talk of not supporting the local industries, and very many people have lost their jobs, very many people who are actually doing their own businesses cannot be able to sustain the businesses as it stands today. And this has rendered a majority of these people, getting to the level of divorce. Because then as a man, you're not able to provide for your family anymore, and a woman cannot cannot sit there waiting. Of course, not to paint a picture of that it's the man who's supposed to provide squarely, no. And we've seen cases of suicide on the rise. We've seen negative cases, social ills on the rise. Alex, all this coming from, of course, the stigma that surrounds the COVID-19 pandemic, coming from the troubles that surround the COVID-19 pandemic. Where does it place us as a fraternity?
It's a difficult position to be in. Tough, really tough, and one cannot belittle the whole effect of this COVID-19 and the lockdown that it has precipitated in this country. For those of us who talk to a lot of people, we know that the struggles are heavy. Companies are not only laying off people, but majority of businesses are reducing the salaries of workers to an extent of, in some cases, of up to 50%. And these are not stories; these are facts. That with the COTU and the FKE agreeing that even unionizable staff can be reduced, I've seen a movement where all companies now are negotiating their unions to lower that to reduce that by almost 10-15%. It's not a short-term loss; it's a long-term loss. So you can imagine when if you lose 40% of your income, it means that you really have to adjust your entire life so that you can be able to fit in that. That comes with a lot of pressure on everyone. On first of all the head of the house, the wife, the children, and everything, because everybody now has to start thinking that they will need less. It's really a sad situation. It's a difficult situation. But my advice to all of us is to reconsider and think about this as a moment of resetting. So that my salary was 50,000 shillings. Now it's 30. What is it in my life I must cut out so I can be able to live within 30? The problem with a human being is that that's normally, it's much easier to adjust upwards. You can adjust
pretty much fast.
Immediately, day one.
As they say, women don't go back socially. So if you are here, you cannot go back.
You can go back, yeah. But it's so difficult for you to adjust from top to bottom. I was eating sausage in the morning. Now I need to just take plain bread.
Yeah, becomes very hard.
I was eating mandazis. Now I need to eat half a mandazi. And do I need a whole mandazi? So it's quite a tricky situation. And my appeal every moment is that all of us must refocus our minds to think that this thing is not going away in terms of the changes it has cost. This thing must make us better than we are today. So that if my salary was 50 and now it's 30, I must readjust myself so that my expenditure goes to 30. And it's not an easy thing, Linda. I know the people who are watching us are saying, what is Alex saying?
For a moment, you're not being realistic.
But that's realistic. That you must adjust yourself downwards, and so that if ever you go to 50, you see that as an extra blessing for you in your life. So that doesn't become an expenditure item, but becomes an investment item. Because what has happened is that we are such a consuming society that even people who earn 1 million shillings don't invest anything. People keep adjusting their level of living and they consume everything. Yet at every level, we must have a situation where 10-15% of your total income must be invested for long-term investment. And I'm not talking about people who earn 100,000 or 50,000. I'm talking about everyone. Adjust your life so that you can be able. This is what, for me, I see this as a big opportunity for us to reset our lives so that you can live better going forward.
All right, talking of adjustments, key sectors right here in the country grappling on how best they can find themselves back. Of course, the religious industry, and not forgetting schools that are set to reopen gradually, as what the president said, that come September the 1st, will witness gradual reopening of schools. We can only wait to see whether that happens, but a lot of, recommendations in regards to this reopening aspect. As we take a look at this before we get to wind up, parents are supposed to bear the brunt of this, according to what was said yesterday, and a majority of them will have to part with so much money to fund the masks, to fund all the sanitizers for their children in the event that they go back to school. Is that what the parents would wish to hear right now, Zach?
No, in this economy, no. And I hope by the time we reach to opening of schools and colleges and all the other institutions, we won't need to have these masks on. Can someone go out there and do the research and give us the figures? Because if asymptomatic people are not passing the virus, why are they being forced to wear masks?
The CS for health
let them go out there. Let them go out there, get the data. Don't just tell us the World Health Organization saying it may be working for someone. So we need the facts, we need the data, so that we are able to do this together. And if you want us to pull together, let's have the right information. Let's have the correct information. Because out there, we are also, educated. We are also doing our own, research. We are listening. We are right-thinking people. So we are listening to the World Health Organization. We are looking at what is happening on the ground. So we also have some point here. So we need convincing that this is, because loading money on this already, burdened parents is not making sense.
Mhm.
50% salary cuts, and then you want me to give you, some more money in schools. So why? Can you convince me? Can you give me the facts? Can you give me the figures?
Yeah.
And also to add on to what Alex had said earlier, in terms of reduction of expenses. So if I am supposed to reduce expenses at home, in my office, then why am I increasing expenses in school? It should go in tandem. It should be equitable.
Yeah.
And then another thing I remembered, as we reduce expenses, which is a good thing, we should also think of other sources of income.
Yeah.
Sometimes our education system throughout the world like narrows our mind to only feel that because I'm qualified as an engineer as Alex, I can only do engineering. I have seen Alex do a lot of things besides being an engineer. Because I am an accountant, I can only, eat books. I can't go out there and utilize my talent. And talent is one way of earning some extra income.
Yeah.
There is another way that I have found very, very practical. If you go to your own house, at home, wherever you are, Kibera, Kileleshwa, wherever, you have a lot of stuff that you don't use. You had bought a radio earlier, but you don't use it anymore. Shoes, clothing, items of electronics, computers that you don't use, you don't need anymore.
Yeah.
If you could pile these items and get rid of them, sell them, you might get some extra income there and start a business. So these are some of the things that we need to do. As we adjust downwards, we also need to have more sources of finance. Kenyans are very creative people. Very creative and very hardworking. So I know we can get through this together.
Thank you so much, Zach, right there. Alex, what is this one thing that you have discovered about yourself? Maybe that extra talent that you had, or something creative that you've done during this time of COVID-19 as we wind up. Yes, now that, Zach has shared.
Man on the spot.
Yes.
One of the things that I've found is that there are a lot of stuff that I had in my house that I don't need. And I have made sure that I've given them out. I've not sold them because it's more blessed to give than to receive. I'm looking at the possibility of I do some bit of motivational speaking, and this moment has become so important because I've had people call me to talk to me, to ask me on what they need to do at this particular time. I've had a good number of people who are retired,
right,
and they're telling me that we have these funds. What do I do with it? So I have discovered
incredible.
that I have a huge talent in advising those kind of people.
Amazing, right?
So
there.
that's going to be
Yeah.
my next big thing, even after COVID.
Right, incredible. Well, I have not discovered anything, sadly, because I've been working all through, but we thank God all the same for this experience. And like we all say, we come out of this better because we'll have picked key lessons that are going to be helpful in future. Thank you so much, Zach Ngugi. He's an economist, and Alex Mwati, who we just learned that he's an engineer too. And all those other discoveries that we have picked. Thank you so much for your time this morning. And thank you so much for keeping us company. We're taking a short break right here on Morning Cafe. We'll be right back with a lifestyle segment. right, welcome back to Morning Cafe. We are on the last laps to tunaita kipindi cha Lala Salama. An interesting session today, and most of the ladies will tell you that they would love this session. But then again, it's interesting how men are also getting into the beauty industry, and you know, when we're talking about the beauty industry, there's a whole lot of activities within that. So today we delve, specifically on the hairstylist aspect, and we have Bram the colorist.
Thank you.
Is it Bram? Have I pronounced it well?
Bram the colorist.
The colorist, yeah. Yes. Thank you. When we talk about the colorist, we mean hair coloring or what?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
We basically talk about color
in
general,
yeah,
and to be precise, hair color.
Yeah. Hair colors. All right. So welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much.
Yes, we are hoping to learn so much or pick so much. So some of the tips that we'd actually use at home now that there's COVID-19.
Yeah. A lot.
And speaking of which, I'd want to first ask, what is the difference between a hairstylist and a hairdresser?
Yes.
Yes, I need to get that clear before I proceed.
Okay. Basically, there's a difference between being a hairdresser and being a hairstylist.
Right.
And it goes back to the technical bit of hair. For example, I know you know how to do matutas.
Yes, the basic ones.
Yes, you must be knowing how to do matutas. And that I'll call you a hairstylist, because you can style hair.
Okay.
You get?
All right.
But now, being a hairdresser means you understanding the anatomy of hair. From the root and the general taking care of the hair until it's bouncing around, and then it includes now styling.
Right.
So hair styling is just part of hairdressing. Yeah.
All right. So you chose hairstyling.
Yeah,
you overlooked hairdressing, or you also do that, or what got you into hairstyling?
I think most of the people who are doing hair now basically got in through hairstyling, and this is talent industry, and talent industry is very unique in a way that if you don't have the passion, then it gets very hard for you to get into the industry, and it comes back to the final aspect of how the hair looks, and you find most of clients, and I want to take an example like you can actually judge a good hairstylist by the final result. Most of clients don't look at the process that has gone through before you get to the final look. So I'll look at you, the final look, and I'll be like, the person who did your hair is awesome. The person who did your makeup is awesome. But ideally, before you do the styling, there's a lot that needs to be done on hair, even before you come to the final look. So most of the hairstylists out there got into this industry through the passion, and you realize, so I can do some braids, I can do lines, and then through that you get the interest. So there are those ones who pursued it through the formal way of going through college and understanding hair and studying hair. Then there are those ones who got themselves within the industry. Maybe your aunt had a salon, or your friend had.
Used to go there, help
basically, So for me, I think it's passion, and passion drives me, even in terms of doing whatever I would want to do within the hair industry.
Slowly by slowly, the hair industry is becoming a male-dominated industry, and we ask ourselves why. I mean, kazi za wanaume zimeisha, mmekuja tu kutuharibia, mmeamua tu wasichana sasa hatutawaachia kazi. What is happening? Why the interest, and why is it that they're doing so well? By the way, I'd personally walk into a salon, or and I'd look around, or even a nail parlor, and I'll opt for a male hairdresser as opposed to a lady. Why, I don't know, but they do a good job though.
I think you've answered the question.
Oh, they do a good job. Really? Is it the truth? Is it what really defines what is happening right now?
I think if you look at it practically, every time you get a different aspect about an industry, there tends to be something that is done extra. And you find, like in hair, if I'm doing your hair, remember women are the most amazing people on this planet, and we can't live without you people. So every time I'm styling your hair, I'm not styling it from a perspective of I'm just doing my job. So I want to make you look nice, and I'll take an extra mile to make sure that whatever I'm doing, I do it to perfection. Now, put in the whole pampering issue. You know, this is social status. And ladies want to feel nice, they want to be told good things. And I'm sure men will tell you. So whether they're meaning it or they're not meaning it, I think that perspective brings in the whole aspect of ladies tending to incline towards male stylists. And in return, it has attracted a lot of traction, and guys are doing hair awesomely.
Which is also a huge challenge, because the other day I was having this conversation, by the way, with one of my colleagues who's done this before. He's been in the hair industry before. And he says that sometimes it's a little bit challenging, because you find that these ladies really get inclined to you, that sometimes it gets uncomfortable, and sometimes you'll also have their men coming, you know, and they're watching around and they're scared that why is it that my woman comes to the salon and takes there forever. And I mean, such has also been the case for men going out there for, you know, to the barber shop, and you find women, and it's a whole different story. So how do you people get to deal this and balance this and stick to professionalism or stick to professionalism?
And there's always this famous phrase that you mix business with friendship or anything else, and it goes there. And I've done hair for the past like 13 years. And one of the things that I will tell you is you have to strictly be professional. And when you stick to the core of your business, which is giving service to your clients, the rest will fall in place. And basically, I'm not saying that we don't get those temptations. They're out there, and we are in a free world where people can express how they feel about each other. But I think you have to make it a purpose and a decision that I'm here to offer service. This is a vice versa way. Guys get attracted to women, and women also get attracted to guys. You go to the barbershops, men want to troop in barbershops, and they want to be massaged by the girls and the ladies. But it's either way. So it's about you taking precautionary and knowing that I'm offering a professional service, and that is what we stick to. And if you do that, I don't think you'll have any issues. If it's someone who has their own other interests, even if you lose them, but you'll be walking your head high, in the process of doing this, I stick to my professional code.
Amazing. So COVID-19 is here with us. And I will tell you this for free. Look at my hair. I'll almost tell you, look at my nails. If there's anything that I dread, I am suspicious of, I am scared of, is marching into a salon today, is marching into, you know, a nail studio today, because there's just, I don't know, there's that fear that has been perpetrated along, I mean, there has been propagated along. So are you in business still? Or you do home services and all that?
We're in business.
You are in business?
Yes, we're in business. Initially, I thought maybe this is not essential services. But COVID-19 has taught me hair is essential service. And I'll tell you for a fact that as much as you're saying you don't want to walk into the salon, but I can see you're looking good.
I desperately want to, but I am so scared.
Yes, but I can see you're looking nice. Now, that tells us that our day-to-day running has to go on. And I don't think COVID-19 is going to go anywhere anytime soon. It's something that we have to start living with it and knowing how to go about it so that we keep ourselves safe. And salon business is one of the areas that was affected. And I remember even there was a lot of fear when our CS talked about closing barbershops and salons, and everyone was like, we are going to close. But on the contrary, I think it has given us an opportunity to change the way we do things and to improve on how we give our services to our final clients. And to me, that is one of the most important areas that I think as an industry, we are going to move from one level to another. And we've been talking stylists and as salon business, and we are saying that, yes, there's COVID-19, but we can offer services, and we're going to make sure that our clients feel safe when they come to the salon. And we've done measures that are very important to make sure that when you walk into the salon, that fear is not there, or it's reduced to the best level. And some of the measures are one, that we've going now to work on a very strict booking system. And all serious service providers have to have a very serious booking system that I know today I'm going to have for clients. And I'm going to space them in a way that none of them is going to meet the other one at the salon. That is specifically to try and avoid overcrowding. So that if you are coming at 7, if your service will end at 9, I have the other client at 10. And that has helped us. Number 2, we're doing sanitization of our spaces over and over. And every hour or every 2 hours we make sure that there's high levels of cleanliness. And even when you walk in, we sanitize the seat before you sit, and we do it practically as you are seeing it, so that the surfaces that we are going to use are clean. Then we make sure that the stylists have protective gear. We have the mask on, done the right way, not on the chin as many people you can see around. Everyone has a mask, but it's not covering the nose and the mouth. So we do that, and we make sure that when you're doing the service, you have your gloves on, and you minimize talking or interactions, so that the client feels much more safe. The issues to do with the sink areas, where we make sure each and every client, before they sit on that sink, it's sanitized, so that we just minimize each and every aspect of all those services that we know guys are sharing within the salon industry here. Then we also try to educate the stylists out there that it's important that you also take care of yourself, because you are at a high risk of contracting the virus. And this is an ongoing process over and over. Some of us have our pocket sanitizers, so each and every other time you need sanitize. Then we have sanitization of even the tools that you're using. So salons have invested heavily in these aspects, so that we make the clients feel more comfortable.
And of course you also should feel comfortable. I'm just trying to visualize and picturing that. And I know that salons are the places that I just want to go to the salon, sit there and figure the stories all I can. But then again, this time around, one is limited. This comes with a lot. These adjustments that we are referring to come with a lot of expenses, I would want to believe. Has it forced you again to adjust the prices of the services that you offer, or you've maintained the same? And how are you managing it?
We can't increase the prices, and basically everyone is going through a hard time. And when everyone is going through a hard time, I think it would not be nice for us to increase the prices. So what we've done, we've taken it as a challenge within the salon business, so that even as we're taking care of that, we will go back to our pockets and try and pump in those resources, so that everyone feels safe. But in terms of increasing the prices, I don't think it's something that we would even consider for now, because if you consider to increase the prices, then it means you'll be locking out so many other guys. And service industry, it's a very delicate kind of industry. So the prices have not been increased. I am not aware of any increment in prices, but we've tried to take it as a challenge, so that we offer the best quality service. And I'm even hoping that going forward, this is going to be the standard practice within the hair and business industry. And like in Leo's Westlands, where is my station of work, that's the basic that you can ever get. And you'll always be comfortable, because everyone is in protective gear. Some of our clients were even laughing that we look like we are the ones going to pick the COVID-19 patient.
I know, right? I've been looking at the photos and I'm like, is this really it? I mean, how comfortable is it? The blow dry machines, the dryers, a little bit too hot inside there. And of course, we have all the products that are being used with different types of smells and all that. And then you still have the masks on. I mean, was it easy coping?
I'm telling you, if one of the people we need to be clapping for are doctors, then followed by stylists.
It's Wednesday, actually. It is Wednesday. We should do that. Let's pull that one. So salute you.
Because let me tell you, those protective gears give a lot of heat. So you can imagine being in that and then you're doing a blow dry. It's very hot, and that's why it's important that you book your clients, so that at any given time, once you're done with your clients, you can have a breather. You know, you can have actually
at least a 1 hour
thing in
yes.
between, because it's very hot when you're having that on. But I know when the changing weather patterns now, at this time, some of them will be like jackets again.
Right.
So it's
that's good. That's incredible. At least you've not gone down. Some of them, a majority of you have actually decided, okay, let's just close down once and for all, because
there's some salons that closed down. But as we went on with the discussion, most of the guys realized this is nothing that is going to go away anytime soon. So we just need to get away. So we have the new normal. And I am sure we have to enjoy it, and we have to make the best out of it.
Yeah, we need to shape up. I agree, we need to shape up. Now let's come to the practical aspect of hairstyling. What about hairstyling?
It's a whole hairstyling. Hairstyling is it's an art of taking care of hair. One, for the purposes of making hair healthy, then for the purposes of making the client to look nice and get satisfied. And I think in the process, it builds your confidence. So hairstyling is an art, and it's a passion that once you are into it, you get to be artistic, you get to create new hairstyles. I'm sure during this COVID-19, we are going to get styles that are very
you've seen that one, the Corona hairstyle.
Yes, we are going to have them.
Well, some of us have already pulled that one.
Yes.
So when we're talking about you in particular, and we're talking about styling hair, so this one cuts across ladies and gentlemen, or this is just for the ladies, and is it on artificial hair or natural hair?
Within the hair industry, there are many facets within the hair industry, and the hairstylist can be within either one, but generally when you start hair, you start it as a general, and then as time goes by, you start to come to a particular niche, and that's why you see like Bram the colorist, my niche is color. So it's not that I don't do all those other hairs, but I try to perfect my art within color. And color is a very technical term. It's a very technical service. I'm sure you've heard so many people out there saying, yes, color cuts hair. I can do color.
That was my next question. Like, how then do we ensure that? Because I mean, there's a lot of myths that are out here because of hair. In fact, again, yesterday we were having this conversation, and someone was like, I mean, just have your hair natural, like this kukala and everything. You know how practically they can bring it in Swahili. Kukala after a while, you will not have hair anymore. You will not have the best. Sometimes you go to stylists, and you know, it just backfires on you. You wanted color red done on your hair, and whatever it is that you come out with is just something pathetic. So how do you master the art? How do you confirm and inform to the client that, you know what, this is a process or a service that you will undergo and you will not regret?
And that's why I'm happy we talked about hairdressing and hairstyling. And it's important that you understand hair is no longer guesswork. It's no longer, and it will never be. There are procedures that you need to abide to when you're doing hair, and you can't run away from that. The moment you run away from that, then all those myths comes in place immediately. So there is the technical bit about hair. Once that is put in place, the rest will follow suit. So there are so many myths. Like for example, color cuts hair. But what is the most service that cuts hair? Protective styling. Direct heat, blow dries, flat irons, you get. Talk about braiding, they still cut hair.
They do.
But these services are done out there. There are people I know that have never even left their hair open even for a single minute. They're ever in braids, they're ever protective styling. So all these services we are talking about are style. And style can be your hair open, your hair braided, weaved, cut, all that, colored, all those are styles. But at the end of the day, it is the process that you go through that will ascertain if your hair is going to be healthy or not. And for that reason, color cannot cut hair.
Color cannot cut hair?
No.
What does?
But the process of attaining the color tone or shade that you need can jeopardize your hair, and it can cut your hair.
All right.
Or the aftercare of that hair, once the color has been done, then can cut hair. But basically, color cannot cut hair unless done in a wrong way.
So what is this wrong way that we are talking about? Because I have genuinely seen someone,
Yes.
after coloring their hair,
Yeah.
literally like
it's
on your hands. So there's no way you can convince me otherwise unless you convince me otherwise right now.
Yeah, okay. So there are some protocols that we have to follow when we are doing hair. And one of the things that we need to talk about is bleaching. And bleaching is the removal of the melanin from your hair. Yeah, as simple as that.
Which is not a permanent thing.
It is.
It is permanent. Okay.
So you can look at your hair, like your hair, I can see it is like number 2 or number 3.
Yes.
The moment you bleach, bleach your hair, it means you've removed the melanin from your hair.
Yeah.
The black pigmentation.
Yes.
That's a permanent process. You can't bring it back unless the hair grows.
Or unless you put dye, black dye.
Even if you put black dye,
it will still be there.
The melanin component is gone. So what you are
okay.
putting is a shade of black into your hair.
Right.
You get?
Yeah.
So that's one of the areas that we really go wrong with. The other issues that are done on hair, and we are talking about metallic colors, we are talking about henna, yes, of which I know so many people who put henna, and they say henna is good.
Yeah.
It has made my hair, it's natural. It has made my hair
grow and strong.
Strong.
Yes.
But there are so many fallacies about that, and one of the issues that I want us to understand is there's a difference between hair being strong and hair being hard.
Okay.
And henna would make the hair
hard.
And for most of us will think the hair being hard, then it is strong.
Okay.
So that's one of the areas that we need to understand. And I also want you to understand that hair is dead matter. The moment it sprouts out of your scalp, that's dead matter. And that's why the hairdresser comes in to take care of that dead matter.
Dead matter, yeah.
So whether it is relaxed, whether it is natural, whether it is whatever it is dead matter. So what does that mean? When you apply unprocessed products on your hair, they will not be broken down and consumed by the hair. So when you apply henna, you apply black shampoo, all those will coat the hair.
The hair.
They will not penetrate through the hair.
Okay.
And coating the hair means like your nail plate.
Yes. It is
The
just
polish
a
has caught the
Has
nail
coated
plate.
my nail plate,
So it means any other process on that hair will not go through.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the differences that you need to understand. And when you understand that, then it means then even the other processes you're doing on hair becomes very easy. So you'll find, like, if you want to do color, there are certain questions they're going to ask you. One, we'll have to do a strand test to ascertain a few things, porosity levels, to understand if you've done any henna or any other metallic colors on your hair.
All right.
Then we'll do a scalp skin test to also see if you react to a chemical compound within the color that is called PPD. I'm sure you've seen guys do color and then they have an allergy. Yes, things, they get allergies. They're actually reacting to that, to that PPD, which is one of the ingredients within the color. So we do those two tests to ascertain if at all we can do the color process. Or not.
Yeah. All right. And now, after determining, then you can proceed. Different colors. How creative can one get with colors? I mean, nowadays it's a whole different. Unlike the traditional brown or black. You know, you switch from brown to black, from black to brown. Then came in maroon, brief maroon, and then before you know it, everyone can do red and everything. And they change as though it's.
We can even do. Maybe next time we need to do orange. I can see it's part of your color.
Well, we should prove that one, and it works out very good. Sometimes it looks very beautiful, but it's key. Sometimes I can walk into the salon and tell you, I need an orange. Are there times you're forced to advise someone that, you know, this one would not work with you, maybe you should try this? Because there are times that someone would want a color and it comes out very bad.
Even there are some colors you can't get them on the first application.
Okay.
It's a process that will take maybe 4 weeks before we get to that,
to the actual color,
especially fashion colors. And now
what are these ones that you're referring to as
fashion colors? Now we are talking about blue, black, blue, red, orange, yes,
Okay.
green,
Yeah, the
purple.
screaming
Yes, the
colours.
screaming colors. All those are fashion colors. And some of them, if you want to get a very good tone variation, then it means we will have to do them over a period of time. There are some colors like platinum. I'm sure you've seen guys with gray all over. Yeah. Those are colors that yes, you can get them in one sitting, but ideally if you want to take care of the integrity of the hair, it's some colors you need to take a longer period of time. When your hair is natural, you can a little bit play with it, but when it's processed, then it gives you a lot of limitations because the relaxers have already broken down the hair bonds, so the hair is a little bit weak. So there are things that you cannot really do on the hair. So some colors, especially fashion colors, they might take some time before you attain them. But if the integrity of the hair is okay, it's something that you can pull in a day. Now, color depends on many aspects. Your personality would determine what kind of color would you want to wear. Your career, determines what kind of yes you want to wear. There are also themes. Like say if there's a theme about maybe cancer, you'll find guys with pink. So color defines a certain theme within the society. So you'll find people wearing color depending on the message they want to send out there. And color brightens people for sure. If you did color today, you'll brighten up. You'll look.
Are you literally selling this idea to me?
I am actually selling that idea.
I've loved that for the longest of time, but I am very skeptical with so much, especially when you're told it backfired and all that. And let it be.
Yeah, it backfires, especially, and this is one of the areas that clients also need to help us. Clients also would not give you correct information. And I'm here asking Lilian, have you ever done any metallic color on your hair, Bigen or henna? No, I've never done. Then I go on the process, then at the end of the day I realize she was actually not saying the truth.
So someone tells you that the process you're able to tell that this
yes, and that's why it's important you do the strand test and the skin test, so that you understand whatever information they were giving you, is it correct? Many other times you walk into the salon, you tell the stylist I want this color, then they don't pull it, then you are like, you're not a good stylist, you lie to me. But you will find this is something that it's between me and you, so you need to give me the correct information. Then I'm going to get the right process for us to attain the color. And also, color is not something that you walk into the salon, I've never done your hair,
and then
I don't have any history of your hair. Then you just walk in there and you say you want this color. It needs us to walk through so that we also know, is your hair at a point of being done color, or it's very weak, that we need to maybe do some other treatments to make it more healthier than we do the color.
How expensive can this process be? Really, that one is left for the people who are going to.
The only thing I would say, quality color is expensive, and the cost varies depending on what you want to achieve. But as we always say, cheap is expensive. So you will find there's very cheap color out there in the market, but the effects that it brings on your hair, it's a tall order that you might take a longer period and more resources, and especially now time resource in terms of reverting it back.
All right, speaking of which, I have done color on my hair, and I don't want to cut my hair, but I want to lose my hair. Is there again a special process towards a shading of the color that one would have put?
Yes, there is a special process. One, you can decide to just outgrow it, and you can outgrow it in many ways. You can do protective styling. You can also change color. Gets into the cortex of the hair, so you can always change to something that you feel like, if you had done, like say a copper, and you feel like you don't want a copper, you want a red, you can always go to red. And if you are at red and you feel like you want blonde, you can go to blonde. And if you are a blonde and you feel like, today I want my hair back to black, you can do it. The only problem is when you go black, going the other side,
it becomes hard. Why?
You know, black is a very strong color. It's a base color. So once it's on your hair, taking it out, it's also a tall order. And that's why you find so many people doing bleaching. Yeah,
All
just
right.
to strip it
To
once
strip
and
it once and for all. So what is the difference of working on artificial hair
Yes.
and natural hair, and, you know, when it comes to the coloring
Yes,
processes
yeah.
and all that? I have one of my wigs that were totally messed. That one I'll tell you. Though
Yes,
it brought a very interesting color that, well, sometimes I wear it and everyone is like, what is
Yes.
that? But then,
Yeah.
it is not exactly what I was envisioning.
Okay. Wigs also depend on the quality of the wig.
Yeah.
And there's so many wigs in the market, but the quality is very compromising.
Alright.
So if a wig or a weave is of good quality, then we can do color on it. And the good thing about weaves and wigs, you can actually go to higher levels of the oxidant, which is the activating agent of color. So you can use 30 volume, and sometimes you can even use 40 volume, because it's not like natural hair. So that gives you a leeway to play around with it. However, when you also overdo it, it loses the feel of the hair and becomes like, you know, sisal, something just dead and has no bounce whatsoever. So it's important to also take care of it in a way that even if you want to do the color, do it using relatively 20 to 30 volume oxidants, so that you don't also strip it completely. Yeah, because you'll find maybe you've done color on the wig, then when you are styling it's just there. Yeah, and if the wig is of low quality, then definitely it will not look nice. And you still need to wash it, you still need to condition it nicely.
And actually that was my next question, care and all that. Would you still do the same and normal thing when you want to do all this?
Yeah, very important.
Like I mean, in terms of protection of hair, is it the same process? Like, this is natural hair. Once I have put my color, can I still, you know, do the usual, like you say, you know, condition it, wash it, treat it, and all that?
Yeah. So now within the color, once you've done color, now we have products that are good for color treated hair. So you'll get, we have color treated shampoos, color treated conditioners, and it goes back to the pH levels of those products. You realize shampoos and conditioners are acidic. Yeah. So we need to have not very acidic shampoos, and that's why we talk about sulfate free maybe shampoos and conditioners, just to take care of the hair. Once color has been done, there are also color enhancing products. Like sometimes you've gone to the salon, you've done your color, and the color looks glossy that day. 2, 3, 4 weeks down the line, the color looks very fluffy or faddy. So the products that enhance that color, it's not necessarily that you're doing a color process, but it's just bringing out that color nicely, and especially reds, because they have bigger molecules, so they tend to run out of the hair or the wig or whatever surface that have been put on. So we have color enhancing products, and you talk about the shampoos and the conditioners, and then the issues to do with now, how do you put the final, how do you store the wig? It needs to be stored in a very dry, cool place.
So you move around water, ukinyeshewa mara mbili tatu, it's trouble?
It's because you see now, once it's umenyeshewa, it's now soggy, you know. So it loses the bounce immediately. And I'm sure ladies always love oil over and over and over, applying oil. Now you find, like, even hair, oil is not necessarily important for the hair. So you keep putting a lot of oil on your wig, and you find it attracts a lot of dust. It attracts a lot of smoke or any other forces of denudation wherever you are going. So you need to just have a polisher, a conditioning polisher that is going to help you just take care of it, so that it doesn't become soggy and remains bouncy.
That's beautiful. Age.
Yes.
These two little boys that you see, having had their hairs colored, I mean, is it really advisable?
To be sincere, there are processes that you don't just do on hair. Let me give you an example. It takes about 8 years for the hair follicles to form nicely. And I'm talking about now, leave alone the baby hair, now you are growing. So maybe your hair started maybe when you were like 7 or 8. So give it another 8 years.
8 years.
And hair has about 3 stages: anagen, telogen, and catagen stages. So you'll find there are some processes you do on your hair and you like distort the growth pattern of that hair.
Yeah.
So it's advisable that you don't apply color and chemicals on young kids.
Wow.
Give them time so that their hair can develop to the fullest, and then they can make informed decisions at that particular time. But color and relaxers on small kids, it's wrong.
Well, parents, there you go. I think that is a take home. I thank you so much, Bram, the colorist. It was great having you. Next time we're going to do a practical aspect of it, but it was interesting. Thank you so much. We've picked key things. I have personally picked key things that I would have wanted. And I know, I mean, you back at home too, of course, benefited from this conversation this morning. It was great having you. It is now time that we say Kwaheri on Morning Cafe. Looking forward to see you again tomorrow, same time, same place. Yeah, your social handles briefly as we wind up.
As we wind up, you can always find me on IG, Bram the Colorist.
There you go, Bram the Colorist.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I'm based in Westlands, Leo Salon on Victoria Plaza.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. See you again next time. My name is Linda Alela. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Kirubi is coming up next.